Hello everyone, Scott Scooth Belmont back with another video. This time I'm going to be talking about, becoming a League of Legends analyst, my journey into becoming a League of Legends analyst, and basically just a stream of consciousness followed by an update on what I'm currently doing. And this is mostly to, put everything on the table that I have, it might help you with your future endeavors. And well, if you're wanting to become an analyst, right now there is a competition to become one on lol-coaching.com/analyst. It is a competition wherein in round one, which ends on Monday, that is May 2nd, the year of our Lord 2016. The first round is observing a game in the regular season, EU or NA, observing the picks and bans and explaining why they banned what, why they picked what. Obviously, as an analyst, you're going to have to know this crap and know how to succinctly talk about it and format your paper correctly so it's really easy to read. Talk about this was banned because Y. Y was banned because Z. A was banned because B. And basically make it super easy to read so other people can understand it quickly, get your reasoning really fast. Then round two is taking a game and basically doing a VOD review of that game. It's self-explained like that, just a VOD review. Just be detailed like the way Jat does team fight breakdowns. You could watch a few of my VOD reviews to get a general gist of how VOD reviews should be done. And then round three is preparing for an opponent in Game 5 of the NALCS or Game 5 of the EULCS finals. And how would you prepare in the 3 or 5 minutes you have between games and come up with a plan for that last game? So, lol-coaching.com, analyst competition. And now I'm going to get into the story of how I became an analyst. And yeah, so it all started out, it was about a year and 6 months ago from today. I was on the Riot's LinkedIn, like the Riot Careers LinkedIn page, and a guy had posted, hey, who wants to write articles about League of Legends? Who wants to be shoutcasters? And at the time, I was like, I want to be a shoutcaster. I want to get into, esports, go team. And, I was one of the first ones to sign up. I'm like, hey, I want to talk about League of Legends. I can summarize games and basically do a VOD review of the games, but in written form. And so that's how I got my start. It was kind of blind luck, and that kind of opportunity doesn't come around very often, but I got lucky. I got in there as fast as I could, and for a few months, it was throughout all of Worlds, I would summarize every single game in every single series and basically do a straight written VOD review of each game. Describe, this happened, so Y happened afterwards. X happened because Z had happened earlier, which allowed them to do Y, etc., etc. And for the few months, I had a lot of fun working, and I realized, this is something that I would want to do. I want to, I love League of Legends. I might not love playing it, but I love talking about it. I love watching it, and I love discussing it. So why not get into this? I'm gonna, do this for however long as I can. Sadly, Worlds ended, and that was basically the end of it. And the thing you have to understand is, it was a volunteer position to begin with. He was looking to basically start up his Italian esports website and push it into the English-speaking scene, but it wasn't that popular, and it was quickly, pushed out of the way. The website went down, and all of my work is gone, but it doesn't matter because it was all kind of crappy anyway. But the point is, when you get your start, it's mostly going to be volunteer work, just building up that resume, getting yourself out there, and starting earlier is a lot better. Like, if I had started now or last season instead of in season 4, I would be so far behind, and I would probably be entering this analyst competition. And after having gone through some of the entrants, it's like, geez, I would have been blown out of the water. Like, how the hell did I work with CLG? Like, these people sound so much smarter than me. But yeah, getting these small starts, like the top eight in, because the top eight people that enter in the first round are the ones to move on to the next one. Those top eight, like that right there, can be enough to get them in with a small challenger team. And this is going to tie over into the first time I worked with a challenger team called Dreamek Gaming. It was during the Alpha Draft Challenger Series at around this time last year. It was similar to the Serpentis Pro League that just went on. It was a small challenger tournament for challenger teams. That was like a sub, yeah, below the Challenger Series, which is below LCS. And it had teams like Misfits, it had Fusion, it had Frank Fang Gaming. Wait, it might not have had Fusion. I think it was Frank Fang Gaming with Nian Tanso and Misfits. Yeah, those were like the top two. And then Misfits would later become Renegades and so on. And I worked with a team called Dreamek Gaming. And, I talked to the manager. He said, yeah, we'll give you a shot. You said you want to become a pro analyst. Well, come on then. Show us what you got. And basically, within one game, I had realized I was completely unprepared for what I was about to do. Because I had written up this entire game plan. You see Lemon Nation with his notebook. I thought, I could do a notebook too. And I wrote down the entire plan. I'm like, this is what we're going to pick. This is what they're probably going to pick. This is what we're going to pick. And I realized that they did something completely out of my playbook. And I'm like, oh shit, everything's going wrong. And I realized right there that I needed to be a lot more flexible during the pick and ban phase. You always have to have at least 3 or 4 backup plans. Because, for example, in the first game, I was like, all right, we are going to ban these 3 champions. And it started off, they banned one of those 3. So I had no idea what to do for that last ban. So I was a little confused and frazzled right off the bat. So we got our last 2 bans in. They did 3 bans that, once again, I didn't totally expect. So we couldn't pick the comp I wanted. And from there, it was just a mess, a total shit. And once again, now I know when doing picks and bans to write everything out and be like, all right, if they ban this, keep this open, and if they ban this, they might want to take this first pick, so then we retaliate with these picks. And I have a small notebook filled with game plans for Dreamek, for a few of the teams I worked with afterwards. And at the point I am now, I more or less can do it all in my head because I've been doing it for a little while. And it definitely helps to have everything written out first. And, Dreamek, when I was with them, it was my first team. The team kind of sucked. We went 0-4 in the time I was with them. And the team broke up because more or less there were weird rules having to do with the substitutions. So we had to use our sub even though we already had our main mid laner for some reason, and our sub was not the best. He got tilted off the face of the earth after giving up 2 kills. We would lose the game, and the team with 0 morale was like, you know what, let's just break up. This isn't going well at all. And after the team broke up, I was let go because there wasn't anything to do. And what the manager said has stuck with me the entire time and will remain to stick with me. He said, I only gave you this shot because of that one thing you did previously. Because that one thing is what separates you from the average scrub on Reddit. That one small thing. I got super fucking lucky and just happened to get this job with GoaCast, the first website I worked with. And that helped me transition into actually working with a team and, once again, volunteer job. But this one thing led to another, and then it would lead to another and another. And he told me this, if you didn't have that one thing, I would have said no. You would have just been another guy looking to try to get big. And he's still out there somewhere. I follow him on Twitter. But, he's a really cool guy. I haven't seen him in a while. And I don't think he is coaching anymore. But, those words will always stick with me. So, kind of bringing it back to the now, this analyst competition, you get top 8, that basically means you might be able to, that will help you more than you think it will, basically. Or even if you start up a small team, like even in low diamond, or do the house party 5v5, you could say, yeah, I worked with a team, I was their analyst, and I learned X, Y, and Z. It's all about what you learn from job to job. First job, I learned how to basically do VOD reviews. Second one, I learned how to actually do picks and bans. And then, after that, I moved on to individual coaching with Victorious Gaming. And that was kind of a shitstorm because I moved in when there was a lot of drama going on between some of the coaches. And, I just was like, I want to learn how to coach better. And I'm a coach, so, I'm going to do that. And I was an ADC coach. And, working with the other coaches, it was a lot of fun seeing, how passionate they were about the game and learning basically how much more they knew than me and realizing, crap, I need to know more than just champion X's OP and kind of get into the whys and the numbers and the hows and what items are better than other items at certain times and what runes and masteries you need to bring in certain matchups. It was all like, whoa, these are all things I did not think I needed to know, and I'm glad I do know that I need to know them now. Because these are just all these little things that'll build up and help you. But going back to the little bit of drama in Victorious Gaming, it was I had been there for about a month, and then one of the head coaches was like, "Yo, this guy wants to bring us to his website, and he said he'll pay us." And I'm like, "I have no attachment to this place. I'll go over with you, head coach, the guy who mentored me and taught me how to coach better. I'll go with you." And then nothing ever came from it. I left Victorious Gaming with like a max exodus of other coaches. Never heard from those guys again. And I didn't feel screwed over because I was already working for free. And at that point, it's like, well, I kind of expected this. Like, I didn't really expect to be paid, even though I was a mediocre coach at the time. And, it just, you never trust anybody on the internet, really. And that kind of taught me, aside from the actual champion statistics and numbers and stuff, to more or less not expect to trust anyone because it's always a competition. Like, there are some people you can trust out there. Like, I trust Blurred Limes, for example, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But, I had a lot of fun working with him, and I think he's a really good guy. I haven't heard from him in a while, though, because he's kind of fallen out of the scene, and, ever since after CLG, etc., etc. I'll get to that later. But just always watch out for yourself. Always have that grain of salt. Never fully 100% trust someone, because even so, something might come up, and it's like, oh, yeah, no, sorry, you're getting dropped. It's kind of a really bad thing to say, but you have to at the very least, have in the back of your mind, this shiny piece of gold might just be a painted rock. So keep that in mind. And then after Victorious Gaming, out on the job again, it's volunteer job after volunteer job. And that's one thing that, although a lot of people might not like, you kind of have to get used to it. Because if you want to start off, you have to start off volunteering. No one's going to take a newbie scrub and be like, oh yeah, sure, you want to coach our team, you get $50 a week. That's not going to happen. So I was excited after Victorious Gaming because it was the between spring and summer split, and my favorite team of all time, CLG, puts out, "We need volunteer analysts." And I'm like, I'm an analyst, or at least I like to think I am one. So sent in my application immediately. They wanted a cover letter, they wanted examples of previous work. I sent all that shit in, and I did it within like 2-3 hours because there was no way I was going to let that get out of my sight. And this part of the story gets a little more detailed because it's a bigger part of the story. But it started off, my cover letter is basically a page about, I love CLG and I love League of Legends. Let me work for you. I will do everything I can. And it's just like pulling up the passion I have for CLG team, for the esport in general. And when I talked to Blurred Lines about that later, he basically said it was your passion that got to me and made me want to hire you. So, skipping a little bit, there was a period of time where, I heard, yeah, we would be interested in working with you, and then for about a month, it was nothing. Nobody had heard anything, and even people on the CLG subreddit were saying, what happened to those volunteer analysts? And, Blurred Limes came on and apologized. Really good guy. And he basically said, if I sent you an email and you never heard back, just send me a Reddit message. So I did, and I'm like, yeah, I'm this guy. You said this about me. And he's like, oh, yeah. Don't worry, we'll get you in the Skype chat. And within the day, we were all in a Skype chat. It was about 9 of us total, including Blurred Limes. So me and 7 other people at Blurred Limes. And we were basically told, go scout the opponent, you do this, you do this, you do this. And other people were like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. And I decided, I'm going to scout the picks and bans for upcoming Teammate Dignitas weekend. And, I tried to make it look as pretty as possible. And one of the main reasons teams will always ask for spreadsheet knowledge is because you need to make that shit look pretty. Like, I'm not going to bring it up now, but basically just instead of having just grids and grids and grids, you have to color code it, like red side, blue side, red side, blue side. You have to have, everything organized and neat, look good, and look readable. For example, in my work, I would have, all right, teams' games, did they win or lose, which side they were on, color code that line red or blue, and then ban 1, 2, 3, pick 1, 2, 3, and then just analyze. Yeah, they prioritize picking top first. They prioritize, picking ADC last. And when I handed that to Blurred Limes, he was like, damn, this is better than some of the shit Zix does. And I shit you not, he did say that. I'm not making that up. He said that, and it's like one of the moments I felt super proud of myself. And I'm like, this is how I'm always going to do it. This is what I'm going to do. And, I was super happy. Everyone was super happy. We were working with the team for quite a while, and up to the start of the summer playoffs, we didn't really have any qualms about it. But we were kind of getting skeptical. Like, is our work actually reaching anybody? Is it just hitting Blurred Limes and not really getting to Zix? Like, what's going on with our work? And Blurred Limes assured us, yeah, we're all looking at it. We're all taking it very seriously. I believe them. I mean, I had no reason not to. I think he's a great guy. Anyway, going into the summer playoffs, we all know how that went. CLG went to Madison Square Garden, and we all feel like we had a huge helping hand in their success. We all felt, they made it there because of us, and lucky for me, I had tickets to go see CLG in Madison Square Garden. I went there that night, and it was fantastic. CLG got the 3-0 over TSM. I cried. Hotshot cried. My friend made fun of me for crying because he didn't really care who won. He's just a fan of the esport. Actually, he was a Gravity fan, so he didn't have anyone to cheer for. But, yeah, it was overall a great time. After that, we were in the line to go see CLG after the game, and we were near the back because we were accidentally on the TSM line first. We never met CLG. We only saw Hotshot in passing. And, because he wanted to get everyone out and give them something at the very least. So Hotshot went down the entire line, which was still, wrapping around the building, and tried to take a selfie with everyone and say, sorry, but they're cutting the line. Thanks for coming out. We love your support, all that stuff. Great guy. And I was super disappointed I didn't get to see the team or talk to Blurred Limes in person. After that, I went to PAX Prime for a job I was working with the Grim Bros, which is a indie game studio based in Philadelphia, which is where I'm living right now. So I went out to PAX Prime, flown out there for free, and I'm working the floor, and, I see a bunch of people walking by all the time, and I see a guy wearing a CLG jersey. I'm like, oh, that's super cool. Where'd you get that? I like CLG too. And he's like, oh, I just got it from the store. What's up? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I was at Madison Square Garden just last week. It was great. I loved it. And he's like, oh man, that was great too. And I said, yeah, I'm also a volunteer analyst for CLG. He's like, really? How's that working out for you? Are you having fun with it? And he asked me a bunch of questions like, you know, what's the communication like? What's it like working with Blurred Limes and Zix? What's it like working with the other people? Are there anything they might be able to do better? And I explained, yeah, sometimes we feel that our work isn't getting to Zix or making an impact. We aren't getting any like really good feedback. Our line of communication is Blurred Limes, and then we have no idea if it's going over to Tony or if it's getting to anybody else. And we're all a little concerned about it. And he's like, oh, yeah, these are things we can work on in the future. By the way, I'm Devin Malixia. I'm the CEO of CLG. And I'm just like, fuck. I had no words. And I was just like, shit. I just told the CEO of my favorite organization everything wrong with the current job that I have with his organization. And at first I was like, shit, shit, shit. But then he said to me, but this is how you do it. This is how you move up. This is how you become a coach in the LCS world. This is how you do it. And he kind of assured me, like, yeah, all of this feedback is great. Thanks so much for giving it to us. And, we can talk later. So I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And still getting over the shock of the fact that I am talking to the CEO of my favorite company. I was a little starstruck. He does his thing. He tells my boss at the time, he loves the game that we were working on. He leaves, and, later in the night, I go see Smash. I leave the Smash tournament, which was an awful thing to do because I'm a fan of Mewtwo King, and he's 6-0 Leffen. But I met Hotshot at the bar we all went to, and I asked him, because I wanted to talk to Malixia more about, CLG stuff. And I asked Hotshot, is Malixia there? Oh, I don't know. And he was with friends, it seemed, so I didn't want to, like, interrupt that and be like, hey, how's Analysts looking? Like an asshole, so I just kind of hopped along on my merry way. I met a few other people, like I got pictures with Meteos. I met Helios and Shifter. I met Chris Badawi, gave him my info, but I didn't expect that to go anywhere anyway. He's was the owner of Renegades. I met a bunch of personalities, great people. I met the odd one. He kind of brushed me off, but he didn't seem to be, looking for solicitation. So, we all had a good time that night. Pretty sure I saw Hotshot again. I don't remember, but coming back from PAX Prime, I sent Malixia the email like on Tuesday, like, hey man, what's up? How's it going? I'm the guy you talked to at PAX. I'm one of the volunteer analysts, and I'd love to talk more about, the volunteer analyst position. Never heard back from him. Talked to Blurred Limes in the chat, like, hey, I met Malixia over the weekend. I sent him an email. Could you, yeah, hook us up? And, he said, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Still never heard back. And at that point, we were kind of getting phased out because, like, they were on their way to Worlds, and we did stuff for Worlds. But like I told Malixia, we never really felt like our work was doing anything. And it was when they did get to Worlds where we felt like, yeah, we're probably not getting shit. Like, they probably aren't giving us the time of day. And overall morale was like, we were happy that the team won in the first week, then they got knocked out in the second week, and we were all basically like, fuck it, we're done here, I guess. Blurred Limes came on one last time. He's like, yo, thanks for all the help, guys. See you soon. And, oh wait, no. It was, thanks for all the help, guys, but there's going to be an announcement. And me being the dumbass hopeful thought, oh man, does this get to mean we're all going to work as analysts for like the CLG Challenger series? No, it was 3 days later, Blurred Limes is fired. And it's like, oh, well, there goes our only line of communication, CLG, so I guess we're done here. And, we felt like our asses were kicked. We were all pretty upset about that. But I mean, I guess that's the business. You know, I tried to send Zix another email, never heard back from him. Tried to send Melixia another email, never heard back from him. Tried to send Hotshot an email, never heard back from him. Found them on, like, they would post in Reddit threads related to, you know, the League of Legends team. And I would say, hey, what about those volunteer analysts? And it would get like 6, 10 upvotes and never hear back from them. So I feel like that's something they just want to sweep under the rug and forget about, or maybe I don't even know. But what really was the nail in the coffin was, if anybody remembers, they put out, you know, a call for analysts to join the team again. So shot an email to Zix and I'm like, I was a volunteer analyst. Do I still have to do this application? And he's like, well, never heard back from him. And the application was beat Twisted Treeline as fast as possible against 3 bots. And I was just like, are you fucking serious? What? What? I am. Like, I tried so hard that week to try to get, like, the top time, but I was always, like, 10, 20 seconds off because of, like, the top 3, which were the only people being considered. And it's like, how is my mechanical skill going to limit me and my knowledge to the game? Because after the video came out, it's like, yeah, I did the exact same thing. Olaf versus Fiddlesticks in the bot lane, and just try to perma push it. And it's like, no, because they auto attacked that minion a half a second earlier, they got the faster time and took down the tower 2 auto attacks earlier. And it's like, how are you going to let physical, like, left clicking going to determine who becomes an analyst on the team? I felt like I was personally kicked in the ribs after that. And what even hurt more was one of the other volunteer analysts actually did hear back from Zix, and Zix basically said, no, you have to go through the application process. And I was like, all right, fuck you guys. You know, this is my favorite team, and I feel like they just shit over everything I have ever attempted to do for them. And at one point, I was strongly considering not letting them be my favorite team. Like, I just wanted them completely out. But it's like, you know what? I still love the boys. I still love the team. I love Zion, Xmithy, Afro Moo. I could never give him up. And you know, I love the team. Sure, behind the team it might be a clusterfuck, but you know, the team itself, that's what I love. So with CLG and that entire, like, last 10, 15 minutes might all just sound like a bunch of venting and whining, but this is all shit that actually happened. And if you were in the same position, you would probably feel cheated as well. I'm not using that to justify anything I just said, but that is how I feel. And I guess what I learned from that was, you know, it kind of builds on the don't trust anybody. And although everyone I worked with was great, it's like we were still kicked to the side by the organization. Like, the volunteer work can only take you so far, and I was pretty bitter. And you know, I was told, you know, my work was at one point as good as, if not better than Zix's, and then followed up to that, I was just thrown to the side by both the CEO, the owner, the head coach, and the analyst. So, what did I do to deserve that? But yeah, after that, I was pretty bitter. I thought, like, you know, fuck those big orgs. I guess I just have to stick to challenger teams and try to work my way up that way. And that is how I came to, I think it was Stratos Gaming. So Stratos was another challenger team, and they were pretty decent. I'm trying to remember if we ever, like, played league games or not, but we had a bunch of scrims. We'd watch them do fives, and then there was a bunch of drama behind the scenes, and it was the manager had said something about the coach, which was a complete lie, and I showed the chat logs, and you know, I was on the coach's side the entire time. I'm still friends with him. Hop off, please, is his name. If Shout out to you, Hop, Kyle. whatever you want to go by. But no, there was behind the scenes shit there. I was on my coworkers, and I guess I can call him my friend. But we're assholes to each other, so I guess that constitutes friendship. And Stratos was quickly, I mean, the coach left, and because the coach left, half of the team was there because of the coach, and the coach, he didn't bring the team with him. The rest of the team just left. So after that, the Stratos brand got partnership with Astral Authority. So technically, I work with Astral Authority. They have never fired me. They have also never given me anything to do. So I was just a carryover from Stratos to Astral Authority, and I still talk to Adam, who was the COO of Stratos, and I have his stupid ass on Snapchat for some reason. But I mean, that was just a kind of fucky time. And then after that, I was kind of waiting for the team to get a league team because we didn't have one. And, I was told, yeah, we're going to pick up a manager. We're going to have you guys scout for a team. And I'm like, I can scout, but I would rather not. And it doesn't help that I currently in college. Like, I can do math and the numbers and the picks and bans, but to actively look for other people that aren't already on challenger teams, pretty difficult. Because even if they are challenger, who's to say they want to be on a semi-pro team? And I talked to the manager about it. He basically said, yeah, I'll handle it. And that was about 4 months ago, and I haven't heard back from either the manager or the CEO of Astral since. So I'm just going to assume I'm not fired. And after that, I was not quickly, but I was contacted by Hop Off Please again, and he said, yo, starting up a team with Evolve Esports, do you want in on this shit? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, of course, why not? And Evolve went really well. For a time, it was my first paid job, which I super appreciated. Even though it was $50 a week, and I probably should have asked for more, it was still my first paid job. I had so much fun. Loved the team a lot. And we were in the Serpentis Pro League just about a month ago, a few weeks ago. Sadly, the org, not sure if I could talk about it, so I won't, but things went wrong, and the team decided, after this Serpentis Pro League split, we're going to disband. So they disbanded, and right now I'm still with Evolve. But right now, I'm looking for another team, one that could get to Challenger Series, one that could pay me. Because it's like the Joker says, if you're good at something, don't do it for free. And I'm at the point where I know, I have worked with CLG, I have worked with a bunch of Challenger teams, and I know I'm good enough to be a paid analyst. I'm a professional analyst. So, pay isn't mandatory, but it is. If one team says we'll pay you $25 and the other team says we're not going to pay you, I'm going to go with the $25, even if they are a worse team. Money is money, man. I'm in college. I have debts to pay. So, yeah, that's up to right now. I was actually approached by a UK team to be a volunteer analyst, and even though I just said not going to work for free, they want me to do VOD reviews. It's a GLB in the UK scene. And they just basically want me to do VOD reviews, send them back, and I figured, it's probably 2-3 hours of work a week max. So yeah, I can do that for free. It puts more content on my YouTube channel. It puts more things on my resume, and that's what it's really all about. Just getting shit on your resume. You really just have to stretch far and wide and constantly poke around and see I probably would have gotten a job with someone in the Serpentis Pro League, but it probably would have been a lower bracket team, but that doesn't really matter. It's all about just getting that on your resume. And, Echo Fox had applications for analysts a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I think. So I sent in one. I don't really expect to hear back. There are a bunch of other challenger teams. I'm just sending out applications everywhere basically. And if another team approaches me and says, "Hey, do you want to help us?" Hell yeah. I'm always looking for that opportunity to get to the NALCS or the EULCS. Whichever LCS, as long as I get to stand on that goddamn stage. But overall, basically what you have to take with you is just constantly be learning, constantly have that grain of salt. Not everything that glitters is gold. Constantly just strive to be better. Strive to just get as good as you can. Do not ever think like, "Oh, I'm just an aspiring analyst. I am just an amateur analyst." Because no, you're not. You are an analyst. You are an analyst. And when you work with a couple of teams, when you feel like you are at the level, you can call yourself the professional analyst. Like, I probably wouldn't call myself that if I didn't work with CLG, despite the way that it ended shittily. But that's still on my resume. They cannot take that away from me. Nobody can take that away from me, and that is something I hold near and dear to myself. And I'm really glad I finally got to talk about this because I posted an article for Slingshot Esports about becoming an analyst, and it was he basically had me write out the entire story so he can see my emotion, and then my editor kind of cut it down so it's not just this long whiny rant about everything. So I'm glad I got to tell a more full story, especially about the middle part with CLG, because I feel like I've been holding on to that for too long. But once again, constantly put yourself out there, constantly look for more opportunities. Hell, if you want to get advice or anything on some applications or some VOD reviews that you do, you can always come to me. I'll be happy to look it over and say, this is where you can improve. This is why didn't you touch on that kind of thing. And I know I can do the same. I can always learn. I can always get better myself. So never ever think that you are the best of the best until you are the best of the best. At which case you should probably retire because it'll be as good as that. Problem with that is you should never ever think that. So, yeah, I know I'm a broken record at this point, but seriously, it's going to start out, you're going to be volunteering. You're going to be volunteering everywhere, no matter what job, how small. You are going to constantly be learning. Always learning new stuff, always learning the best way to do something. And, someone can explain it to you, but you don't really get it until you do it. Or at least that's how I am. So, like, watching other people VOD review, it's like, "Oh yeah, I can VOD review," and then you do it, and you're like, "No, this is shitty." Then you keep doing it, you keep practicing, you get better at it, until you have a big, fat YouTube channel with a bunch of VOD reviews on it that get a decent amount of views and 11 subscribers. Just keep working at it, keep poking and prodding, and just, like, never get disheartened either. Never, it's okay to, be sad, be bitter, but don't let that, like, rule you. For a little while, I thought, like, if this is how it's going to be in the LCS, then I don't want to do it. But it's like, no, that's probably just one bad experience, because at the time, CLG was going through a lot of relative crap, I assume, because that's when they let Blurred Limes go, and they wouldn't say why. He didn't even tell us why in the volunteer analyst chat. I actually do know why, but I'm not going to say, or the source on that. But, yeah, I guess that's it. So follow my Twitter, Scoot Esports. Follow my Twitch. I play video games on that. Follow the Facebook. The Facebook is me and my friends. We're doing a podcast. We're going to talk about video games. And hopefully that kicks off the ground soon. And thank you very much for watching. It has been a pleasure. And I really hope you can like and subscribe this video, tell your other friends, just help me get better, help me get out there more. When I heard about the new, or rather last season when I heard about the new TSM analyst, it's like, I've never heard of this guy before. What did he do? Where did he come from? And he was mainly just a guy on YouTube, just doing his thing, like doing his VOD reviews, doing his analyses as well. So, humble beginnings to TSM. That's all it takes. Just keep working at it, keep doing your best, keep doing what you do, and never ever stop. Have a good one.